Today we talk about micro and macro dosing as it relates to brain trauma and PTSD with Justin Lapree. Justin was a combat vet who suffered from PTSD due to a traumatic brain injury suffered in Iraq. He searched for help and went through the system, only to get worse and not better. After he was out of the military, he tried to integrate into a normal life, from working jobs on Wall Street to becoming a fireman in Austin, Texas. Eventually, the TBI caught up with him, and he became homeless, went through a divorce, and almost committed suicide. Through a course of actions that he will talk about, he discovered healing through the use of managed psychedelics. This is a fascinating tale of survival and introspection. Justin will leave you with a new sense of understanding. Today we sit down and talk mental health, survival, and alternative medicines on this episode of the Cracking Backs.
All right. Hey, Justin, welcome to the show. Hey, we're really glad to have you. I'm just going to hit it right off the bat and kind of tell the audience what this is all about. Microdosing and PTSD. It's kind of a hot topic, shall we say. It's both controversial, it's supportive. However, you're a combat vet and who suffered PTSD, but you did not discover the alternative avenues, I would call it, like some of our Vietnam guys did at a Janis Joplin concert or an LSD party. You discovered it through a really gnarly journey. And so to kind of set the stage and get people involved and really understand where we're going, can you kind of tell us this history of where you kind of came from?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. Terry, Dr. Spencer.
Thanks for having me on today. Yes, and for everybody tuning in, appreciate you holding this space for me. So thank you. I grew up in a broken home. Suffered a lot of abuse as a child, and out of high school, I went to private school my whole life. Out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps back in 2001. Got out of infantry training school September 7th of 2001. And so watched the towers fall from the Chow Hall. Before I even was pretty much initiated into my unit. They were still coming back from a Mediterranean float. So flash forward to 2003. We invaded Iraq, and then made it to the Battle of Al-Naziriyah. 2004, I returned to the sandpit and fought in the Battle of Fallujah. During this battle, I suffered a traumatic brain injury and came home with every parting gift that the Middle East had given me, to include depression, suicidal ideation, moral injury, anxiety, and PTSD. I got out a few months later and went into the VA system, like everybody was going through. Talk therapy was really ineffective for me. So they just gave me prescriptions. One of those prescriptions to deal with pain was Oxycontin. Never had an addictive moment in my life until the VA introduced me to Oxycontin. And when the military had quit that protocol, it was extremely difficult to come down from that. Kind of just self-loathing and gray space. I called it. I stayed numb. I wanted to stay numb because I didn't want to feel. I was at odds with God and everything that I had been taught as a child and into my adolescence. Because once I saw the outcomes of war, and I realized that this is not a video game. I was like, well, how on earth could God want me to do this to another human? Right? I had a very internal battle, and that's really where the war started for me. I was on uppers, I was on downers, I was on psych meds, and then Ambien to sleep because the Adderall kept me up. It was fascinating combination. And it's happened to so many people. So Flash forward
a couple years.
I did a little over a year homeless. I had moved up to New York for a relationship that ended up being extremely toxic. But I ended up staying because my ego was so battered. I didn't want to move back to Texas and prove everybody correct. I was in my early 20s. I had to figure it out. So I was homeless for about a year. A few months on the streets, and then I got picked up at a veterans group home in Long Island. So I lived there for the rest of the time, and really kind of was trying to figure out how to get on my feet. I learned how to write a resume. There wasn't a lot of transition programs coming out of the military, so I really had to kind of figure this out on my own. My mother had helped me secure employment with a mortgage bank. This is back in right before the subprime crash, and so I was selling mortgages. To pretty much anybody. And I was excited. It allowed me to get an apartment. And really started getting on my feet. Well, the crash happened, and I was unemployed yet again. I was being tested. I didn't know exactly what was happening at that moment in my life. But I was being tested. And this is where my true resilience started to be formed outside of the military. And so I was unemployed at the time. I was dating a woman who was a cocktail waitress at an Irish pub down the street in Massapequa, Long Island. And I met this gentleman, Bob Cheeseman. And he just moved from London. Didn't know a thing about baseball, so I was teaching him about baseball. And he wanted to interview me. And I didn't have a lot of money, so Wounded Warrior Project actually took me to Joseph A. Bank, got me a couple suits, went on the interview, got the job, and I became an equity specialist for Citigroup. So it was my first time in New York getting something that I was really proud of, right? And I was working on Wall Street. It was outstanding. Right? I'd seen the movies, and I was like, man, I want some of that. I worked for him for a few years, and then I ended up going into a mid-tier hedge fund, Brownstone Asset Management. They had a broker dealer, Brownstone Investment Group, and worked there for 4 years. And I was really struggling. I was struggling with purpose. I was struggling with my identity. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to become. And a lot of that was due to the gray space that I was functioning in. I wasn't addressing the traumas that I had because I didn't want to address them, because I was scared to address them. So I just kept myself numb, and I was high functioning numb. And in 2013, I decided to move back to Texas and try to become an Austin fireman. So that's what I did. I moved back. I was like, Wall Street was great, but there's something more internally, and I didn't know what it was. But my subconscious was telling me that there was something else that I was supposed to be doing here. And so I came down to Austin. The Department of Justice was in a hiring freeze at the time at the city. So everything kind of just was in standstill. And I ended up getting on almost 4 years later in 2017. And it was an incredible experience. I started going through a divorce in 2018, in September 2018. About that same time, I had papered off all of my medications. Right, I was like, I just cannot take these anymore. The side effects were incredible. I was sick all the time. It was like it has to be the pills. And so in 2018, in September, started my divorce, and I really started to spiral out. I was involved in some pretty traumatic experiences within the Austin Fire Department with the Austin bomber who was delivering explosive devices to doorsteps, and they would explode upon opening. I was involved in mass shootings on 6th Street, fatality car wrecks. Having to. I had two young children at the time, so having to console a parent because of the loss of a child, and then having to go home and tuck in my 1-year-old is just a level of trauma that nobody's wired for. Because for a long time I was thinking, I've done this, I've been around death and carnage, 100% do this. I'm made for this. Yeah, absolutely not. Nobody's made for this. Right? Like nobody's made for this. Right? This isn't just taking out bad guys because bad guys are trying to kill you and your buddies. No, these are innocent people dying, and that is on a whole nother level that nobody can rightfully be okay after going through these experiences. So after a bad call in November of 2018, I walked out to my truck and I carry a SIG 45, the same SIG that I've carried since I left the military. I keep it under my steering wheel. I pulled it out, put it in my mouth, pulled the trigger, and it clicked. And it scared me, right? Because I've never not had a loaded weapon, and I clean it daily. It's like every time I fire this thing, I'm cleaning it. So there's no way this thing jammed on me. Right? I've never had a misfire. So I take the magazine out, rack it. There's no rounds in it. No rounds. And somebody on my shift, who I still do not know who this person is. So if you're listening today, I owe you my life seriously. Unloaded the weapon because they knew that I was spiraling out. They knew that I was going through something that was probably not going to be fixed. And was an angel. Right? And so after that, I took some time off from the station, and a buddy of mine. I mean, it really shook me down to the core because I wasn't expecting to have this afterthought of this moment. Right? And I knew what I was getting into. I knew that I was going to leave my kids behind. I knew I was going to traumatize everybody. But I felt like such a burden to myself and everybody around me that I was like, I'm ready to punch out. Right? I'm ready to punch out. And when my card wasn't punched, I'm like, Holy shit! I can't believe I actually tried it. I didn't know that I had the internal, courage from me to want to leave this life early. And it was really cowardly for me. But it took a lot of courage in that moment for me to actually try to take my own life. Grateful, of course. Looking back at that, it still shakes me up to know the mindset that I was in, to want to leave everybody who is part of my why. But I took some time off, and a buddy of mine sent me a book, How to Change Your Mind. Michael Pollan, amazing author, amazing man, amazing book. And I read it in a week. And really opened my mind to the possibilities of what if. I said yes to trying. I was a fireman. I didn't know where to get anything that was on the Schedule 1 list. I was a very straight and narrow guy. But I read some Reddits and I watched some YouTubes, and I learned how to cultivate my own medicine. And so I started to grow my own medicine. And during that time, I started to follow the Johns Hopkins protocol. So I would put on a sleep mask. I would put on these headphones that you're seeing me in today. I put a GoPro in the corner of my apartment. And just made two notes. This is when I did not have my kids, so I was alone in the apartment. I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. And two, I do not condone doing this by yourself. Right? This was something that I didn't have community for. Psychedelic medicine and therapy wasn't being talked about yet, not at least in my circles. So this was out of pure desperation. Right. And so I would film my experiences, and I was very vocal, I was speaking to the camera at different times on what I was feeling, what I was seeing, as I was still kind of engaged with my ego. And I started to really keep notes, and I would go back after these experiences over the next 2 weeks, and I would write down everything that I found in those videos. And because my entire time that I was on medications, nothing seemed to work. Well, my first dose of mushrooms was in December of 2018, and it was 3.5 grams. And over the next couple of years, I went from 3.5 grams up to 9 grams. I grew my own medicine. I had a great relationship with the spirit of the medicine, and completely improved my life in every single way possible. Suicidal ideation, bam, gone. Anxiety, gone. Depression, gone. PTSD, gone. TBI, gone. Right? I was having childhood memories that post explosions, post blast injuries. I completely had been completely blocked. And I was really fascinated on what on earth is happening. Why am I receiving all these downloads? Why am I seeing myself as a 5-year-old opening up presents under the Christmas tree? What is happening? And it was due to the neuroplasticity that was happening with these medicines. Right? These medicines are proven to facilitate neuroplasticity. And what that means is it's helping form like new neural pathways, new connections, and repair damaged connections in my brain. Right? And so all of a sudden, right? I had a different perspective on life. I had a different perspective on religion. I had a different perspective on myself and my family and my why. And it was for the first time I felt love again. For the first time I had love for myself, and I'm like, Justin, I'm proud of you. You made it out of the trenches, man. It's like that little kid inside of me was freaking shooting off fireworks, right? Somebody that I had pushed down and put in a permanent timeout, that wasn't allowed to come out and play, right? And so that little boy inside of me was stoked again, and this was the beginning of my real recovery and my healing. I consider this entheogenic therapy, and something that I continued to work on for a couple years. And then 2022 came around after an Ibogaine experience, and I had a vision. I had as clear as the day is today. Right? I had a vision on what my purpose was, and it wasn't with the fire department, and it wasn't with serving the country or serving the community at the sake of my mental health and wellness. Right? My idea that I put out on a napkin over the next 2 days ended up being my why, my purpose. Why am I here? Right. And that's where I started Heroic Path to Life, which is an entheogenic church nonprofit organization here in Austin. And it took me 9 months to put together that first protocol to help 9 out of those 10 veterans or first responders on that first retreat were active duty firemen. Right. And I wanted to create an organization that we can put together a preparation and an integration protocol attached to a healing retreat with all different modalities of healing right here in the state of Texas for veterans, first responders, Gold White Star spouses, and their families. Because for the first time in my life, this is the only thing that I have been able to try that actually worked. The only thing. And that was really powerful for me to experience, and so I'm grateful to have this opportunity to share this knowledge, help educate, and support these individuals on their journey home.
That's so cool. What a great story, man. I do want to go back to a couple things.
I know that's a lot to digest, man. I apologize.
Don't ever apologize. That was freaking awesome. You and I kind of met in a kind of roundabout way with one thing in common, that's suicide. Because you met the guy that I got your name from at a funeral.
Garrett. Yep.
Then you and I were talking the other day while I was at a funeral for a suicide.
Yep.
And so we kind of got this little bond together, and unfortunately, it's a sad bond, but it's still there. And so one of the things that I keep hearing about that I actually heard at this funeral was, oh, suicide is such a selfless act, and we talked about that a little bit on text. And so some people, yet when I switched to another table at the funeral, a lady came up to me and goes, "Can I offer you a different perspective?" She goes, "Sometimes people get into a mental state that you and I don't understand, and they're in this room in their head, and they feel that that's the only way out to be selfless to help all those around them because they feel like they're a burden." And you and I kind of talked about that. And we look at these people and go, with all the help out there, how could they possibly pull the trigger? Well, you pulled the trigger, and thank God somebody emptied your mag. So can we?
You'd be.
Go ahead. I want to hear your thought process on this.
So first off, there may seem like there's a lot of help out there, but there's not. Right. You'd be shocked how many people do not know the resources that are out there. I mean, I had to go and actively search for resources to even hear about it. Right. Because if we're talking about these types of therapies, this type of healing, right. The country is still wrapped around the decision of Nixon and his racial bias, right? And from 1970 for creating the war on drugs, right? He hated two types of people. He hated hippies and he hated blacks, right? And so he made everything illegal in 1970 because of that, right? And now we are trying to unwind that one person's decision. So it's taboo to talk about. It's taboo. Like nobody's talking about this stuff. Now it's changing now, right? But before now, I mean, our society, our biggest diagnosis that we're treating right now is human conditioning. We are conditioned as humans. We are programmed. All these devices, our phones, our computers, subconsciously are programming our minds. Right? The way we think, the way we talk. You look at the kids that are killing themselves in high school. It's like how tough could your possible life be? Right? And they get to the point that they are killing themselves. Right? So we are absolutely failing as a society. Because we are not talking to our children, we're not talking to our friends, we're not talking to our bosses and our peers. Because for the longest time, it hasn't been okay to not be okay. If you say you're not okay, then boom, they take you off the fire truck. Boom, they take you out of the squad car. Boom, they tout you as mentally ill. Aren't we all? Don't we all have some sort of baggage? So I don't think there's a lot of. I don't think it's known. I honestly say this because I speak to military friends of mine that have been struggling since they got out in 04, 05, 06, and later. They don't know any of this stuff exists. And so a big part of this is removing the stigma, changing the narrative. Right? That's why we're having these conversations, Dr. Terry. It's important for us to really start talking about this. So if somebody out there that is listening to this podcast right now aligns with what I'm saying, or is currently in a position like I was back in 2018, I want you to say yes to trying something, right? And you can give me a call anytime, and I'll talk to you personally. Because if I can save one life, we together as a collective can save one life, then it's worth it, right? And so when it comes down to suicide. To get back to your point, thank you for the space to rant a little bit. But when it comes back to suicide, yeah. On the outside in, it's selfish. It's a selfish act. Right. My kids would have grown up with trauma because I left them. Right. right?
And they would have been like,
that was selfish. My dad left me because he didn't love me.
Because if he loved me,
why would he do this to me?
Now, in the
mind of the person going through that struggle and making that decision,
I can 100%
understand selfless.
Right, I'm
burdening
my family,
my family,
my friends,
my children, myself.
This is a selfless
decision,
right? To punch out. But you're not thinking.
about the path of
trauma
and carnage that you are now instilling upon everybody
that you've ever come
into their lives that you left an imprint on.
Right.
They are forever traumatized.
Right. And if I
would have killed myself, my children would now grow up. Their DNA expression would now change.
Right. And
they would grow up with trauma
in their DNA.
And when they have children, they're going to pass that trauma down to their children.
And until somebody breaks the cycle,
that trauma is going to continue to pass down from generation to generation.
And this is the problem that we have in our world.
Right.
We are in a mental health crisis. And it is not. I'm talking about crisis, right?
Don't you think? Nothing's worked, guys.
Should we try something else?
Maybe there's some medicines that grow out in the forest,
right? Maybe there's
some medicines that grow in the Amazon that God put here
that weren't made in a lab.
Let's try those,
right?
Does it hurt to try?
If it doesn't work, then great.
Perfect, right?
I saw some funny colors, right?
But what if it does work?
What if it does work?
I now get to see my daughter walk down the aisle
with the love of her life.
Right? I was going to give that up because I couldn't handle it anymore.
And so yes,
I think it's both selfless and selfish. For the people that are left behind,
it's a very
selfish act.
Trust me, I'm very mad at
my 15 friends that have pulled the trigger or OD'd or hung themselves
since 2005.
I'm still pissed,
right? Because
I wish I could have
known what I
know now,
right? And
shared my story with
at least one of them.
So that their widows and their families and their children did not have to go through the trauma
that I almost
imparted upon my children. So
Justin, thanks. I wanted to ask you a couple things, but I had to hold back because you got me all tear jerked, man. Almost got
wait, Spencer. How's the hair on your arms?
Oh, I'm beyond that. I have tears in my damn eyes. Man. No. I really, that was from the heart. And there was something I learned today that was really, I want to appreciate that you shared what it's like to be selfless, because quite frankly, I think of all the people we've interviewed, of all the patients I've had that have, talked about suicide, it's not often we get someone who actually does it and doesn't succeed at it and can share the other side of the story.
Yeah.
You were burdened
mission
with
failure,
but in a lot
it was
success. But yeah, and the reality is, it is the burden that you feel you're placing on the family. So thanks, because I never looked at it from that point. The idea of using, I guess you would call it hallucinogens or entheotherapy,
entheogens
therapy, yeah, and
correct.
And
do you guys know? And just to educate, I just want to educate the viewer base today.
So entheogens
comes from it translates to God within,
right?
Right.
So I'm an
entheogen.
Right. You're an
right.
entheogen.
You're an
entheogen.
We are God.
We are
direct reflections of each other.
We're
born in the image of God.
And so these
there's plants and fungi and toad venoms out there that have God within them. And
just wanted to share that.
I know it's a tricky word that isn't used a lot. So I just wanted to share that
so people have
a context of what that means.
No, I appreciate it because I'm learning. I learned that.
Yeah, for sure.
But
For sure.
What was interesting about hallucinogens is that you shared a perspective about this like a default mode network that it taps into, that it allows you to change and open your mind up to other things that could be much more fruitful than the trauma and the other not so healthy experiences. So fascinating.
And these I just want to also help educate. These isn't panacea. This is not a miracle pill or a miracle mushroom or a miracle vine. These are tools. Right. So we are the inner healer. We are the healer. I spent my entire life trying to meet with doctors and waiting on somebody to heal me. Right. What I figured out through all this work was I was the one I was waiting on my entire life. I was the healer. I had to stoke that fire in me, right? Because all the tools are here within me, right? Like I know with your patients, you want hopefully get to them to a point to where they don't need you anymore, right? Right. I don't want the individuals that are coming through our program to always need me. Right. I'm a guide. I can help you get there. I can show you all the tools that you have within you already, so you can create new habits. And then boom. Let's plant you and water you and grow you into a big, strong oak tree. Right. So these medicines allow you to reframe trauma in your mind. You don't have an emotional attachment to them anymore. They still exist. I see them. Right? But I used to hide under tables when I heard fireworks. Right. I couldn't even drive down the street without thinking that the trash can was going to explode. Right. These are things that I had to do work at. Right. It's not like I worked with a psychedelic, and next thing you know, boom, no more problems. Right. It's all rainbows and unicorns. It's like that. A lot of people, they come out of these peak experiences, these significant emotional events, like a retreat, working with ayahuasca or ibogaine or iboga or 5-MeO DMT, and they think everything's like going to be gone. No, it's not going to be gone because that's part of you. That's your story. Right. So that's made you who you are. Now it's time to do the work. Right. And that's where we introduce different modalities like meditation, breath work, things that are proven to bring the balance of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems in line. Now, once you have that perfect balance of your nervous systems, levitation is possible. Hey, I'm still working on that. I want to float. Right. I want to float. Right. I want to float. I'm putting it out in the universe right now. I want to float. Right. So that's what you're laughing, Dr. Spencer, but I'm telling you, when I'm floating, we're gonna do a FaceTime. I love it. It's really about teaching everybody all these mindfulness tools, right, and these practices. Because after the significant emotional event, like a psychedelic experience, now is when the neuroplasticity is happening, and you have a good 60-day window to create a new life-lasting change. Right? New habits. Let's get rid of the old habits that didn't serve us. Let's get rid of those old emotions that don't serve us. And let's introduce new tools and habits that are going to improve every part of our life. And so we have about 60 days on average to do that. And I'm telling you, people do the work in those 60 days. We're talking to a whole different individual. That person's life is transformed in every positive way possible.
Justin, it's interesting because you have a very colorful history, and you are even considered a hero by some. Let me be clear on that. Yeah. You've seen a lot of bloodshed and carnage, and I would like you to share, if you don't mind, the Lakeway plane crash.
Oh wow!
Wow! And how you and your buddy Chris were off duty at the time. So if you can share that moment, because I want people to get who you are, and that what you're talking about here is absolutely for real and a viable approach to mental health.
You snuck this one on me. I didn't know. You found this? You found this?
Yes, I did.
Wow. All right. Well, I still have emotions to this. So it wasn't that long. It wasn't that long ago. It was March 2019. Just a couple months after I attempted suicide, and I was back at the fire station. I had already sat with the sacred mushroom a few times up to this point. I didn't get to see my kids much because the court system didn't like my schedule as a single dad, as a fireman. So I got to see him. I got to see him on the weekends, which is really hard for me. And this was I think it was a Friday. It was during the work week because I was going to go pick up my daughter who was in preschool at a preschool up the road. My son was one, and I picked him up from his mom's, and he was sleeping in my truck, and I had my fire gear in the back. It's really irrelevant because I didn't use it, but it was in the back. And I was going through Lakeway. Speed limits like 25. It's brutal to get through, right? But it's a cut throughout the Spicewoods. So I was in the truck, bebopping down the road, and everything just stopped. And I'm like, that's weird. Because I heard a crash, and I couldn't tell what it was. I didn't see the plane circling or struggling. I mean, it's right. There's an airport right in the middle of a neighborhood in Lakewood, Texas. Right. They built the entire neighborhood around it. And there's been a few instances to where planes have gone down into this neighborhood. And I don't know. I just started working with these medicines. I had different insights and downloads that were happening, on a constant basis. And I had this gut feeling that I just needed to turn on my hazards and brake traffic. Go against oncoming traffic. Yes, with a 1-year-old in the back. And go see what was happening. Well, I did that. And there was a plane crash. I shit you not. Like when I pulled up on the scene, people were just standing around. And to their defense, This is where individuals who have been through this before, who have been trained and programmed to react to situations and not think. Right? It's just muscle memory at this point, right? And so I pulled up on the median. I told a police officer to, my kid's in the back. You stay by the truck. Just sprint it to the plane crash. And at that same time, there was another off-duty fireman who I knew who lived in my apartment complex that worked for a different fire department, was on scene at the same time as I was. And so we pulled these gentlemen out of the plane, right? Got them to a safe enough distance because there was fuel dumping into the plane. All the fuel lines were broken. I didn't think about putting on my turnouts. It just was one of those like I need to act now kind of moments. And we just went into action. He was a lieutenant at the time with Lake Travis Fire Department, so he had a ton of experience with calling in Life Flight. So called in Life Flight. He created an LZ out there. I was triaging the patients. One was really in bad shape. This was a Cessna, two-seater. There was a lot of facial, a lot of body trauma. We triaged both the individual who was really struggling to breathe. Let alone there was ambulance on site yet. There was no fire department on site yet. So we had very limited resources on being able to provide that care that we needed to provide for these individuals. So we did the best we could to save both of their lives. One of them did pass away on scene, and the other put on a pelvic binder, cleared all the pressure. He had complete lung collapse. So was able to clear out his lungs and help that collapse from causing more trauma. And they took him away. Right. And it was part of me is like, wow, my separated wife is gonna just crush me when she finds out that I'm late to pick up Stella. I was late. I was like, you're in the legal system, and every little thing is scrutinized and looked at with a microscope. It was extremely traumatic event to happen when I was off duty. This was the real first time, and it's funny because this wasn't the last time that I've been involved in something like this off duty now. But at the time, this was pretty nuts. My son was still asleep. I got in the car. I was sweating. I was covered in blood. I really didn't know. I really didn't know what to do. All I knew is I had to get to the school. I called the school. I said, "Hey, guys, this is what's happened. I'm running late. I'm coming." Picked up my daughter and went home, changed, took a shower, and tried my best to be present for my children for the rest of the day and evening. I didn't know what happened to this individual. Right. And I felt very inclined and motivated to find out if this person lived or not. And so I found through the EMS records the name, and I reached out to the wife on Facebook, and she's like, "Thank you so much for reaching out. We've been looking for you." She's like Scott would love to meet you. He lived, and he's in the hospital. He just went through reconstructive surgery, and we would love to meet you. So they invited me up to the. They invited Chris and I up to the hospital, and I guess at some point during the recovery we had cut off his necklace. I think Chris had cut the clothes off and cut off his necklace, and the necklace was lost. And so she presented all three of us with the same James Avery cross necklace that was cut off that afternoon. And it was an incredible token of appreciation. And it was so amazing. These individuals are very close dear friends of mine to this day. We celebrate birthdays for our children, birthdays for us. They are a very close, tight-knit family. His father was a Huey pilot and flew for the major airlines. Scott flew for a large carrier. This was a trained pilot and does not remember the events that led to the crash, and has suffered a traumatic brain injury due to it. And he's made an incredible comeback. In that hospital room, Scott's laying in the bed, and he goes, not only did you save a husband and a son and a friend, but you also saved a father, because we just found out 2 weeks ago that Jessica was pregnant. I was not prepped for this. Right? I was not ready to deal with these types of emotions. And it's funny. It's funny, but not coincidence. It's definitely not coincidence that Chris and I were there. right? This was divine. This was in a divine moment to where God put two trained individuals, both Marines, both firemen, on the scene of an event that needed those types of people to save at least one of the two lives that were needing help that day, right? Because now those family members, although they had the trauma of losing their good friend, they didn't have the trauma of losing Scott. And so I needed family. I didn't come from a close family. I was really struggling with community at this time, and meeting these individuals was the medicine that I needed. And they don't know this, but they helped. They were a major catalyst in bringing me out of the shadows. As I was starting on my healing path, because that single event was like, holy shit, I'm part of something that's bigger than myself. Right? Like for me to be off duty, it's one thing to be on duty, and you hear the tones, and you go out because you're the ship that's up. But I was off duty. Right. And I had a hand with Chris to save somebody's life in a moment that nobody else could have. It absolutely set me down a path of why I'm here. And so I'm grateful for all of these experiences that I've had. I mean, I feel like I've lived many lives already. I've reinvented myself time and time again in search of my higher purpose. So to Scott and Jessica, love you.
Oh, man, I'm all messed up from you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. You got an award for this too.
I did. Yeah, I received the Medal of Merit for saving Scott's life and stepping into danger to do it. So medals are medals. They're not for me. But I will say that it's a nice remembrance when I see it on the wall to take me back to that place.
All right, Justin, I'm going to switch gears on you. You ready?
Yep.
I need to. We need to get a little adrenaline going.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right, we do this section called rapid fire. You're going to answer questions quick. I got 4 of them for you that we're going to go through, and actually 5. Excuse me. And we tend to go off the track. It's okay. But let's keep it real short and rapid fire through them. You ready?
How short? Are these like yes and no? Or are these like what kind of?
You'll have an answer about 2, 3.
Okay, I'll see. Okay.
Let's see if you can do it. Number 1, as a Marine, a Wall Street trader, you obviously like the adrenaline rush. What do you do now that still feeds the beast?
That still feeds the beast. Have a great workout regimen. I go into holotropic breathwork, which puts me into altered states, gets my heart rate up, as well as work with entheogenic medicines. And then holding these retreats for individuals. So that fills my cup.
Good answer. Question number 2: what is your go-to music that makes you happy?
Oh man. So big time country fan, big time blues fan, classic rock. I really do enjoy all types of music. The only thing I don't vibe well with is that deep thrash kind of heavy metal. Other than that, I need to kind of balance my nervous system.
Yep. All right. Question number 3: craziest thing, looking back now, that you can't believe you did, and well, I guess it's not fair, you already told us, that you can't believe you did and survived it. Now, we know the one, but is there anything else?
Craziest thing I did and survived. I would say doing a flying squirrel into a not so deep pool and cracking my head on the bottom. Hey, don't laugh. This is still traumatizing. But just so you know, I scored a 10. The flying squirrel itself was freaking epic.
Too bad bad nobody had a GoPro for that one.
You're right.
You're right. The GoPro was in here. I still remember it. It's really unfortunate. Minimal splash upon entry. It was great.
Spectacular.
That's a great answer. All right, great. Okay, question number 4. We got Memorial Day coming up. What's the best thing you learned and experienced in the military?
Best thing I learned and experienced. I think the experience of war was the best experience to be able to be there to watch your brother's six while you have a brother watch your six. Complete camaraderie. Being highly successful under very stressful situations. So being able to really test myself, my fortitude, my resilience to complete with success the mission and make it home. So I think although in a lot of ways war was I wouldn't do it again because I've seen the light now. But it was one of the best experiences of my life in a lot of ways.
And this was after 9/11.
This was after 9/11. Yep. Yep.
Final question number 5. What is your one cheat food that you will never give up?
Frickin' Bluebell ice cream.
Cookies and cream.
Cookies and cream, Dr. Spencer. Cookies and cream is my dude. That's gonna be my deathbed food, bro. Don't screw around. Don't screw around.
I have to interject on this one. So I put those questions together, and I was struggling with the 5th question. And I turned to my wife, who's just got injured. She's sitting on the couch. I go, all right, honey, you listen to a lot of podcasts. I need one question to ask this guy that would be that kind of something different. Come up with one. And she goes, I want to know what his cheat food is, because mine's ice cream, and I would die before I give up ice cream. And I want to know.
Great question.
Justin, I went to chiropractic college at Texas in Houston, Texas. And that's where I found out at Safeway or Kroger. What is this cookies and cream stuff?
I know.
And my 3 roommates and I, we would knock off a gallon before bed. I could never do that now.
And then wake up and repeat. Let's go. Yeah, I grew up in Katy, just outside of Houston. So we used to go to Brenham, Texas, as a kid, back when they used to do the tours at the Bluebell factory. And man, I tell you what, when I lived in New York, I would have people ship this to me because Bluebell didn't exist up there. Back when I was making some money, I was like, hey, I want a good company pecan pie and I want some Bluebell. Ship it.
I think we need to go after Bluebell for a sponsor of the show after that, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
That was great. That was great.
Yeah, man.
Right. Well, we're gonna need to wrap it up. So let me ask you what I got to ask about that Michael Pollan book that I wanted to, how to change your mind. I think it would be a great moment for, by the way, this is my dog's tail that's wagging in the background. Sorry. And what is it in that book that, give me like just a couple highlights that you could share so we can end in such a positive note that that really changed your mood.
Really just followed his accounts of how he was able to rewire his brain with the use of psychedelic medicines. And it really got me curious because I was like, wow. I mean, for this individual to write a book about it, you now have my attention. And their compounds that occur naturally. in nature, okay, you really have my attention now. And so, to everybody I know there's a documentary out there. It doesn't do the book justice. Please do go. If you're interested, read the book. Another book that really shaped my path was The Immortality Key by Brian Moreshky. Incredible, insanely incredible. There's a lot of data in it, so I recommend the audiobook. But those are two of my plugs for outstanding reads. If you're curious about what was and what is, and so just take it for what it is. So yeah.
That's fantastic.
You know what, Justin? I think we're going to close on that because, wow, super powerful. And just to let everybody listening know, I'm going to put in the description, I'm going to put a link to your Heroic Path of Light. And
I'd appreciate it. We offer these retreats for the entire 23-week program is free for these community members. And so we raise money to put these veterans, first responders, and their families through this healing program, so that we can really unlock their true potential and help them find their purpose again. So please follow us on Instagram.
You know what? I'm going to encourage. I originally had this idea for a Memorial Day for all the first responders and vets after going to that last funeral a couple days ago. This is way bigger than that. And I think there's so many people out there, especially the last couple of years, that can use your guidance, use what you have inside that head of yours, that beautiful head. So I want to encourage people to find you. Heroic Path of Light. They need to
Heroic Path to Light.
Heroic Path to Light. They need to find you. And if somebody's really having trouble out there, call and talk to it. Talk to Justin. He's here for you. So
24/7.
I totally appreciate it. I'm coming to Texas soon for that Carry the Load. I hope I can hook up with you and see you. It'd be an honor to actually give you a hug and shake your hand. So.
You as well, Dr. Terry.
I appreciate everything you got, buddy. So thank you for taking the time to be on our show.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Spencer.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Crackin' Backs podcast. We hope you enjoyed, and make sure you follow our Instagram at Crackin' Backs Podcast. Catch new episodes every Monday. See you next time.